part of being a founder is just having daily confidence in what you're doing. So there's a lot of ups and downs. So feedback from so many people that I have not ever met, that speaks a lot to a founder when you can get a win, you can win a pitch competition.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Awesome Inc.'s podcast, where we highlight people pursuing their definition of, you guessed it, awesome. So buckle up and get ready for some more success story adventures and failures from Kentucky's tech and entrepreneur community. Hey, y'all, welcome back to this episode of the Awesome Inc. podcast, kicking off the year strong with our first Five Across winner. We had a wonderful event at the Main on Main event space here in Lexington in February of 2024. And I'm sitting down with my new friend, Ace McGill, founder of Value Buddy, who took home the W and, more importantly, you earned a spot. You earned your golden ticket for the December Five Across finals at the end of this calendar year. So Ace, man, I could sing your praises. You did phenomenal at the Five Across event. But more importantly, we're here to talk about you, talk about Value Buddy. So why don't you kick things off? Tell the folks who are tuning in today who Ace McGill is, what makes you special, what makes you laugh. Tell people who you are, maybe a little bit of your background, and then we'll go from there to talk about Value Buddy and what it is that your company is doing.
Yeah, I'm glad to be here. Name is Ace McGill. I'm from Louisville, Kentucky, and just very excited to be a part of the Five Across pitch competition and secure my spot for next December. I am my company's called Value Buddy. We are an AI-powered underwriting valuation platform for banks and SBA lenders. My background is in finance. Recently left corporate America, and now I'm kind of pursuing the entrepreneurial journey full-time, and I'm glad that Five Across and Awesome Inc. Was able to kind of put me in a position to start to network and meet more people.
So Ace, we know that a fair amount of folks make that decision when they want to step out on their own, maybe leave behind their corporate job or whatever trade they were doing to start their own business. First off, props to you, because that means you took a risk and you're betting on yourself, which is so admirable. What went into that decision?
Yeah, what went into that decision is there came a point in time where I was missing out on Value Buddy meetings and opportunities because I had to fulfill my corporate obligation. Now, I did work for a great company called Brown-Forman. That was my last employer. And so my performance at work was not as stellar as it should have been because I was kind of focusing on Value Buddy. And as a result, it was just really time for me to go ahead and pursue this passion. I had been thinking about the opportunity, but I needed data and true traction to make me feel like I was making the right decision. So essentially, I was juggling, missing out on Value Buddy revenue and meetings. Things were falling through the cracks. And so it was time for me to let the corporate gig go.
Well, it sounds like we knew where your attention was, even where you physically were somewhere else. So you mentioned the platform that Value Buddy is. How'd you come about building this platform and realizing that this is a solution many people probably need to know about?
Well, originally, I used to work at Procter Gamble, and in that position, I did valuation. In one of my roles, I did valuations, like nonstop, all day long. All I did was valuations. And I really enjoyed doing those valuations. And then every time I was launching a startup or a part of a startup, I was the person that was always responsible for creating the valuations for those startups. And whenever you're doing a business valuation from scratch, it can be very time consuming. And I felt like there was an opportunity where I didn't want to continue to do them from scratch. And I felt like, well, if there was a platform or some type of software or technology that enabled valuations to be done a lot more streamlined and a lot faster, that could be a great, not only business model, but revenue stream once I left corporate. And then that's kind of how it evolved. But now it's just taken off, and it's doing something that I never thought it would do, meaning the people that we're targeting, we're now doing B2B versus B2C. And so I do have a very solid team. My co-founder and a lot of my developers have put me and Value Buddy in a position to really get some very momentum in the fintech and bank tech space now.
Super cool, man. This is not your first pitch. I can tell that you are very well poised, and you've probably shared this a couple of times. Talk to us. You said you left a couple. You have a pretty impressive corporate background, I may say. What did it look like to build a team from scratch? You talked about your developers, your co-founders, your partners. Man, what does that look like? How'd you get there?
Yeah, I was just very persistent. I mean, I started off building the platform by myself, just taking Microsoft Excel. I had some developers that I had in India as part of my phase 1 version. But because I was working in corporate, I really wasn't able to get the traction and the momentum that I needed. And then I ended up hiring Cameron, who was an intern originally, who's my co-founder. And he's just such a amazing talent. And he was able to take what I had developed, like what I call a Toyota Camry, and he turned it into a Lamborghini in the 2 years that he interned. And so that was my first way of finding the right talent. And then after finding Cameron was able to put ValueBuddy in a position to really attract more talent. So then we hired our AI developer, whose name is Eddie. He actually studies AI, or used to study AI at UC Berkeley, which, if you're familiar with UC Berkeley, they have a very high-profile machine learning and AI curriculum and program. And so Eddie came onto the team, and he and Cameron has really put us in a position to really start to capture a lot of market share, but more importantly, start to get a lot of momentum with banks and SBA lenders. So building a team from scratch was, I bootstrapped it. That's why I was working in corporate, spending all of my corporate money on ValueBuddy, because I'm a firm believer that if you pay people, you will get better performance. So I made sure I paid all of my interns and anyone that I work with, because I feel like that is the main benefit of someone wanting, if you have good talent, you have to invest and invest in that talent. So I spent a fair amount of money building ValueBuddy, the original beta type, and now we're at the point where we are raising capital, hopefully able to raise some capital from the Awesome Inc. fund. And so
dude, that's sweet. This is off the cuff, and you shared the importance of investing in people. A lot of people, we know that, especially once you've reached some sort of success, and a lot of people define success differently. You have hit on the point of investing in people, and I've never once heard, in however many years I've been with Awesome Inc., now going on 6, someone say, I had a previous intern who is now my co-founder. Can you talk about how, because it sounds like this Cameron guy's a stud. You said he took, the product you were building from Toyota Camry, which is a reliable car, to a Lamborghini, which is what people's probably dream car is.
Facts.
So yeah, Cameron, whoever you are, I got to meet you, man. You sound super impressive. So what did that relationship look like going from intern? I would imagine a guy younger than you that you sowed time into, you sowed the seeds, you invested in him, to that decision of going from intern to co-founder. Can you walk us through that journey?
Yeah, definitely. The generation that exists now is more what I call, the microwave generation. They're looking for immediate satisfaction. And I think one of the things about entrepreneurship is there's a certain amount of time and effort that you have to invest to where you're not going to get, much out of it. And I would say, Cameron was the type of person where I could very quickly see early in his internship that he was dedicated. He was practical. He was a leader. He would challenge a lot of my foundational principles when it comes to doing valuations. But more importantly, he went to the University of Texas. And if you know anything about the University of Texas, they have a very high profile entrepreneurship, not only program, but in Austin, the community itself, it has a very, what I would say, a very prolific entrepreneurship community. And Cameron was able to bring that high profile level of entrepreneurship and creative thinking to ValueBuddy. And as a result, it was very easy to make the transition from him to go from intern to co-founder, because anyone that takes a Toyota Camry and turns into a Lamborghini, you got to be talented to do that. And so, it was pretty easy, but I think the most important thing was just making sure that I paid him up until we got funding from Render Capital, because he was the type of talent that he was just too good to not be paid. And so I paid him the whole 2 years, even though at times it got difficult. But I made sure that no matter what, I kept him paid, because I wanted him to know I was, vested in him. Yeah,
man, that's sweet. Well, if someone's listening to this and they need some motivation of how to make people feel important, or that reminder, listen to what Ace just shared, because that's pure gold. So Ace, you mentioned you got a robust team. I want to hear more about Eddie's story, but let's say that for another conversation. You pitched at Five Across, you took home the W. I also know that you've pitched at a number of other places. You mentioned Render Capital, so I would imagine you've done a fair amount in Louisville. Talk about the experience of what Five Across was. What was your takeaway as an entrepreneur?
Yeah, Five Across was a different setting because it's a lot more energy than most pitch competitions that I've done. The just the format, the energy of the room, all of the Five Across team are what I would say high profile extroverts, and I'm more of an introvert.
Okay.
So I had to really put myself in an environment that I needed to become more of an extrovert on the day of the pitch, just because of the format of the Five Across competition. So that was a challenge for me to tap into my extrovert side because I am more of an introvert. I would say just the format is totally different, and I would say the actual the fact that it's a 5-minute pitch, getting my pitch condensed into 5 minutes was also a little bit of a challenge because because it's a fintech / bank tech company, it can be complicated for people to digest. So just trying to streamline our value proposition, our problem, and the market traction that we have in 5 minutes is somewhat difficult for a company that is not like a consumer product. It's more of a technology that a lot of people are not familiar with.
Cool. Appreciate you sharing that, because that's the real stuff that sometimes we forget that we have to do. The preparation, how you prepare is how you're going to perform. It sounds like you did a fantastic job, obviously, because the outcome was the win of setting yourself up well. Now, I want to hear about this. You won $500. That's not going to make or break you. You also got an investment deal on the table with Keyworth Capital. What are those two awards going to do for Value Buddy? Is it, just a little more momentum, a little more encouragement for the direction you're heading? Is it sowing seeds into somebody? Is it, next step into building the products? Can you share a little bit about what that's going to do for y'all?
Yeah. So what I hope the $500 and the $5,000 safe investment for Keyhorse, the $500, while it may seem immaterial to a lot of founders, for us, we attend valuation conferences.
Okay.
And a lot of the conferences, the fee to go to the conference, these may be SBA lending conferences, mergers and acquisition conferences, commercial lending conferences. The fee to get into one of those conferences may be $500. So the $500 for us will get us into one of the next conferences that we're going to go to. So that's very beneficial, actually, because I can go to that conference and get a $50,000 contract. So the ROI on that $500 is pretty strong. As far as, and also I'm hoping that competition, winning Five Across, puts me in a position to hopefully get funding from the Awesome Inc. fund.
Heck yeah, baby, the Awesome Fund.
Yeah, the Awesome Fund. Got to make that plug. So hopefully it lines me up for that. But it's just all about, momentum. A part of being a founder is just having daily confidence in what you're doing. So there's a lot of ups and downs. So more than $500, just getting feedback from so many people that I have not ever met. That speaks a lot to a founder when you can get a win, you can win a pitch competition. That can give you momentum to keep, all the conscious things that are going on in your head. That's like sometimes you wake up with doubt. The next day something good happens, so then you don't have that doubt. So winning that competition helps from a mental health standpoint, just getting more people believing in what I'm doing, number one. Number two, a lot of this journey is just traction. How many people can you speak to? How many people can you get in front of? And so more than the $500 and the $5,000, I met with Chase Bank, right? I've met with someone, I've got a connection with Live Oak Bank. There's someone who works or a part of Awesome Inc. that has a connection with Live Oak Bank.
Yep.
So, if I get a deal with Chase Bank, Live Oak Bank, and other people from that network, right, that puts me in a great position to not only meet people, but also deliver strong revenue. And so that's what investors in this day and age are looking for, market traction. And so winning that competition makes me relevant, right? I've now won 2 of Kentucky's most popular pitch competitions and trying to now line myself up to do, try to win the Vote Awards, which is a competition in Louisville, and other ones that come across the desk.
Okay. So what I just realized is I'm sitting down with someone who's significantly more accomplished in the Kentucky entrepreneurial space than you led me to believe initially. So proud of you, man. And again, awesome to hear that you're getting connections. Chase Bank, we love that team. They are so invested in every company we've worked with. It's awesome. They are at every event, and we couldn't do things we do without those partners. And here, Live Oak Bank. Yeah, Chip Mahan, one of the Kentucky Entrepreneur Hall of Fame inductees. He's built an incredible business, and man, he is so generous. So stoked to hear about that. Well, Ace, before we get going, I want to hear about one thing. If you could give a piece of advice or maybe a nudge to take some risk to anyone who's listening after your Five Across experience, what would you tell somebody about taking that next step?
Yeah, I would say, I did spend 20 plus years in corporate America, despite, how young I might look at times. And so I would say take risks that are backed by data. Like I would have never left corporate until I knew it was the right time, right? Because, having leverage is what entrepreneurship is all about. Like if you run out of leverage, then you can't mentally enable your business to prosper because you don't have leverage. You don't have capital, right? And so take, I would say, data-driven risk. And once you have enough data that suggests that you should take the risk, then it's all about, in my opinion, finding people that are more talented than you at things that you're not as talented in. So I know what I'm good at, and I know what I'm not good at, and I know how to put myself in position to be humble enough to invite people to my original idea, because it takes a team to really impress VCs. Like a VC wants to see that you have a team that can execute to increase returns on their investment. So
Sure.
I try to put myself in a position that if I was a shareholder, I would want to make sure that the team is strong, not just the person with the original idea. So make sure you put yourself around people that are better than you. And the last thing I would just say is, you just have to be tenacious. You have to have a lot of grit, and you have to just be tough, because there's days where we're not anymore, but there were days where I was like, well, should I have left Brown-Forman? I mean, being from Kentucky and working at Brown-Forman, that's like everybody wants to work for Brown-Forman if you're from, Louisville, Kentucky. So to leave such a dynamic organization that pays well and has great benefits and a value system, to then say bye and then go do Value Buddy, and because Render Capital solidified that was a right decision, because I left Brown-Forman like in August, and Render Capital funded me in September.
Great timing right
and
there.
So it was perfect timing, because it's like, boom, camera continue to be paid.
Yep.
And I can continue to pay my developers. So now it's just trying to capitalize on that momentum and kind of keep it going. And so that's what I would say. And then by the time this airs, so I'll go ahead and say it on here. By the time this airs, another sweet thing for Value Buddy is that we recently got accepted into Techstars, which is one of the most prestigious tech accelerators in the country. And so, that is also more validation and momentum, right? So I leave my corporate job in August. I get funding from Render in September. Then I get in Techstars starting, next week.
Let's go, baby.
Which
Congratulations.
is another $120,000 investment. So now I got a little bit more runway to where I can, try my best, my team and I, to get more revenue, because we are revenue generating. So we can kind of raise money and make money, at the same time. So having all of that planned together is what I would tell every entrepreneur. You got to have a plan. You can't just take risk and just assume it's going to work, because the VC space is not as they're not as lenient as giving money as they used to be. You need to have a little bit more product market fit than maybe you had to have in the past.
Ace, I feel like we could sit down and just talk about stories for the next couple of hours, and I'd like to do that. So let's put pause on this conversation and do that. Especially I want to hear more about Techstars, because that's, again, congratulations. That's a very prestigious award. Where can people who are maybe either at Five Across listening or did not attend the events, where can they go to, number one, become a customer of Value Buddy, and number two, learn more about your startup?
They can go to our website, which is valuebuddy.com. So valuebuddy.com. That's the first place they can go to learn more about Value Buddy. And if there's any banks or SBA lenders that are in need of efficient, costly underwriting valuations, please reach out to us on that platform. And then also on LinkedIn, you can find me. I'm on there as Ace McGill. So yeah, I would say the website and LinkedIn would be the best way for anyone that's listening, or more importantly, a bank or an SBA lender that's looking for new innovative ways to do their underwriting valuations for business acquisition loans. You can find me on those two channels.
Well, heck yeah. It sounds like Value Buddy is about to be taking Kentucky by storm. So Ace, super proud of your team. Way to go, again, winning the February 2024 Five Across. Thanks to our title sponsor, Kinetic Business, who just sows so much back into the Kentucky entrepreneur ecosystem. And then for February's presenting sponsor, Dinsmore, grateful for partners like you to invest into entrepreneurs like you, Ace. So to learn more about the wonderful, and I should say the awesome entrepreneurs that come through the Awesome Inc. team, and more importantly, are all across Kentucky, head over to @Awesome Inc. Lex on all of our socials. And Ace, I have a feeling that we're going to have you back here really soon.
Absolutely.
So appreciate you, brother. Well, that's it, guys. Thank you so much for checking out this episode of Awesome Inc.'s podcast. And another quick thank you to Lee Rosevear and a few members from our community who provide the music that you hear in this show. Lastly, give us a follow on Instagram, Facebook, all that jazz. Or even better, come on down to our space. Come be a part of our community and get plugged in, and let's start something awesome together. You guys rock. We'll see you next time.